If you're shopping for a top-of-the-line golf watch, chances are the Garmin Approach S70 is already on your radar. It's the one everyone talks about, and to be fair, it's the one to beat. But here's the twist. The new Garmin Venu X1 shares almost all the same golf features, and on top of that, it comes with smarter everyday tools that feel closer to something like an Apple Watch Ultra. Now, it's not perfect, and that's why I spent £680 to test it both on and off the course. In this video, I'll show you exactly where the Venu X1 matches the S70, where it outshines it, and where it falls short. Tap the like button if this video helps you out, and let's dive in. So what exactly is the Venu X1? Think of it as Garmin's answer to the Apple Watch Ultra. It combines serious health and fitness tracking with full smartwatch features. This model is bigger and bolder than any Venu before it, and in fact, it has Garmin's largest ever screen. It also has a slim design and has a fully packed feature list under the hood. The OLED screen looks fantastic, but it's massive. In fact, let's just grab a Garmin S50 for comparison and just look at the size difference of these two screens. On my little 6-inch wrists, this watch is simply too big for me. It looks like I've strapped an iPad to my wrist. But for those of you with average or larger size wrists, not like my teeny tiny ones, this large screen and design could actually be a positive for you. When it comes to fitness tracking, it's got almost everything covered. Unless you're really into scuba diving and want a smartwatch that can handle that, you're gonna be absolutely fine with this watch. But the real difference between this watch and the Garmin Approach S70, aside from this giant screen and nylon strap and its thin design, is actually the smartwatch features. Now with the X1, you can answer calls directly from your wrist. The speaker and the mic included in this watch are pretty solid. You can comfortably hold a conversation on the watch. And you can use the microphone to access certain features on the watch, such as starting a stopwatch or something like that. But what's more important is that you can actually trigger your smartphone's voice assistant. So if you've got an iPhone, you can talk to Siri just as you would with an Apple Watch or your iPhone. Now that's something that even the S70 and even the Fenix 8 can't do. It's not seamless and as convenient as using an Apple Watch, but it's still pretty handy to have. And then there's the built-in LED light. Now whether you have it the white or the red, I really like having an actual LED built into my watch. It's much better than just lighting up the screen and calling that a torch. I found it genuinely useful when reading my son's bedtime stories. We're currently reading some god-awful Minecraft fan fiction. What was wrong with The Hobbit? I think we're gonna have to bring back the classics. But here's where some of the drawbacks start with this watch. First of all, for nearly £700, you only get this nylon strap out of the box. It's fine, it's comfy, but I'd rather be wearing something with a rubber strap instead, or at least have the option to wear a rubber strap included in the price. And of course, while this watch is certainly much closer to an Apple Watch, or really an Apple Watch Ultra, it's still not as smart as one, and the user interface and general interactions, if you use an iPhone, just aren't as seamless as if you actually use an Apple Watch. If you've made it this far, please tap the like and subscribe buttons. Less than 3% of the people that watch my videos are actually subscribed to the channel, and it makes a huge difference, especially when I have to buy the majority of the pieces of equipment that I review for the channel. This is a golf channel, so let's get to the most important part of this video that you probably care about the most. How does this watch actually perform out on the golf course as a golf watch? The good news, the Venu X1 is an excellent golf watch. It matches the S70 pretty much feature for feature. It has more than 40,000 courses pre-downloaded onto the watch. It shows you the front, middle and back yardages, and it has the full whole map display on the right hand side of the screen, and it looks gorgeous with this giant OLED display. The watch also has the plays-like adjustments which factor in slope and wind and environment conditions, and it also has the pinpointer feature, shot tracking, and it even has the virtual caddy mode if you want to use that too. And with such a big screen, everything is just easier to see. The yardages, the menus, the scorecards, There's no squinting, there's no crowding. And if your eyesight isn't that great, you can even bump up the font size for the whole watch, or you can even turn on the dedicated big numbers mode for golf. Now, navigating this watch is nice and smooth because this watch combines a touchscreen, which is really responsive, as well as having the select and back physical buttons on the side. But this watch isn't identical when it comes to the golf features of the S70, as that watch has dual band GPS. Now, the Venu X1, like the smaller S70, the S50 and the S44, only has single band GPS. Now, most of the time, that's absolutely fine. But under trees or around buildings, the dual band in the larger S70 may track more accurately. And one thing I have found with the X1 is that at the moment, there's a bug. When you finish a hole, the watch pops up and suggests what it thinks was your score and your stats. Now, normally you just confirm or press the edit button if it's not got something quite right. But for some reason, sometimes the X1 won't let you press the edit button. You have to accept the incorrect information and then go back and edit it in the scorecard menu afterwards. Now, this is a pretty small problem, but at this price, it's quite annoying. And it raises a bigger question. Because the X1 isn't a dedicated golf watch, will Garmin keep refining the golf features as tightly as it does for the S70? From my testing, this watch is very good on the course, but I do have that little doubt that lingers that this isn't a dedicated golf watch, despite the fact that it does everything that a dedicated golf watch does do. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about the battery life of the X1 because it's a compromise that really hits quite hard. Owners of Garmin watches are usually really smug about the battery life, and to be honest, that's fair enough. The Approach S70 would give me around 10 to 14 days between charges when I was using it just every day off of the course. The Garmin X1 gives me about 6 days, and that's with the always on display turned off. If you want the always on display turned on, then that's going to drop closer to around 2 to 3 days. Now, yes, this is more of a smartwatch, which means that the battery is going to be drained by those features, but it means that you're going to be charging this battery a lot more often. Away from golf, this watch is stacked with health and fitness tracking features. Sleep, stress, HRV, VO2 max, training readiness, body battery, the list goes on. And that data can be surprisingly useful and accurate. When I'd had a few bad nights sleep in a row, the watch flagged that my training readiness was only at moderate and suggested that I actually take it easy rather than do any significant training. Now, I don't need a watch to tell me that I'm exhausted, but it was accurate and serves as a helpful reminder that maybe I shouldn't be pushing it too hard. One potentially significant limitation is that while this has Garmin's Gen 5 heart rate sensor and blood monitors, it doesn't have an ECG monitor. Now, the Garmin S70 doesn't have an ECG monitor either, but an Apple Watch does, and so does an Apple Watch Ultra and even a Fenix 8. So if that's important to you, then the X1 isn't going to cut it. For workouts, I found this watch to be fantastic. It supports downloaded GPS maps for walks, runs and cycling, something that the S70 doesn't actually do, at least not out the box. You've got to then add the maps in, and I never even tried that. With this one, it just worked out of the box. And as always with Garmin, syncing to the app on your phone is seamless. Something that does frustrate me with pretty much all Garmin watches, and it's the same for this one, is that Garmin Pay is a great idea, but here in the UK, there aren't that many mainstream banks signed up to it, so using it isn't as seamless as it really could be, certainly not as good as using the contactless payment on an Apple Watch. And one thing that I always like to point out when it comes to smartwatches like this is that if you love wearing a mechanical watch like I do, you might find it a bit of a struggle to fit a smartwatch into your rotation, as you really do need to be wearing the watch all the time to get the most out of the features that you're paying for. And after testing the X1 for around a month, I really miss wearing my mechanical watches. So here's the bottom line. The Garmin Venu X1 is a real alternative to the S70, but it's not a straightforward choice. If you value golf performance and having a watch with a long battery life, the S70 still wins in my opinion. If you want smarter features such as being able to take calls and use your phone's voice assistant and having an actual light in the watch, and you don't mind charging it more often, then the X1 is probably worth considering, even at £180 more. And if you want the best of both worlds, then maybe the Fenix 8 is the one to look at instead. But now you're spending nearly £900 and you're still missing a couple of the features that the X1 has. It's never simple, is it? If this breakdown has helped, check out my affiliate links down in the description below, and you might want to check out my full review of the Garmin Approach S70, which I'll include a link to right here. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons if you found this video helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one.